Hello, my name is Nathan Lim, founder of the Haven Community. This is our podcast series called The Haven Community in the Teenage Mind. The Haven Community is a student organization that was formed to help students and teenagers deal with their emotional weaknesses and find strength internally. I'm here with the team at the Haven Community. My name is Nathan Lim. I'm here with Alyssa Castillo, Lonnie Lee, Megan Texan, Naili Martinez, Anna Ruiz, Saibrenda Kathru, Shimiha Ahmed, Sumeda Budaraju, and Katie True. And today our topic of discussion is COVID-19. COVID-19 has been a pandemic that has impacted all of our lives significantly. As teenagers, we have seen changes to our educational statuses, our time at home with our parents and family members. And honestly, from my perspective personally, I felt that COVID-19 was very hard on me because quarantining is not an easy experience. Quarantining has taught me to realize how impatient I can be and how being outside in a location that's not my house was actually very significant and something to be thankful for. We all know that COVID-19 has been a different experience for all of us. So I want to bring it out to all of my other team members to discuss how COVID-19 has changed us.
Well, I definitely agree that after COVID-19, a lot of things drastically changed. And one of the topics that I want to get into is not being able to go to school, like you said, and having to stay home. And I feel like I'm very lucky to be able to stay home and talk to my family members and be able to talk to them and connect with them more, talking because I don't have to go to school for 7 to 8 hours or do a lot of homework in school or stay after for programs. And I think for me, it's very lucky because I'm able to talk to them more and I have a good relationship. But I know that's not the case for a lot of other families. So I feel like being able to stay home a lot of times has its pros and cons. And that is definitely maybe a con or pro for some people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a little different for me in that, like, my parents have been constantly nagging me. I think it's been really hard to stay home because I feel like I'm constantly being judged, and my parents constantly walk by my room and they're expecting me to do work every 2 seconds. And if they see me slacking off, they think that I'm slacking off for the whole day. And I just feel like it's really annoying. And they're also expecting me to get into such a high UC or like an Ivy League, and they keep putting standards for me that I just don't think that are achievable. So I think it's been kind of annoying for me.
So for me, I'm not like constantly surrounded by my family as the previous speakers have said. My parents actually both work, so I think for me, I've been experiencing more loneliness than usual, or like I'm not as used to being alone at home. So it's been like a interesting experience, I guess. But I've had more time to like reflect on myself, so I think that's a positive of this situation.
Well, even though my parents work, most of the time they're still home. So they always like come around in my room and just like stay there and then leave. And I don't know why they do that. So like it's really like annoying because they just come and bother me when I'm like not doing anything. And I don't know, they just like when school was open, they would just leave me alone to like do my studies and whatever. But now that school isn't, they just always bother me and I don't like that. So
For me, I find it difficult to be at home because I don't have the best relationship with my parents. So it's very difficult to spend all my time at home without my friends since they are my emotional support and they do help me deal with most of my problems. However, spending time at home has also definitely helped me in focusing on myself and my mental health. And I realized that all this time that I've spent at home, I've also been making myself more happy in a way because I'm just focusing on my mindset and my emotions and my thoughts. So at the same time, it can also be a benefit by staying at home.
So I want to add to that. Like for me, it's been hard to stay home too because of the dynamic of my family. Like there are times when things get bad and like I have no way to avoid it. So and like before we went to school, so I'd get away and I'd have my friends to talk to and I'd have distractions and stuff. So there would be ways for me to, I guess, avoid it. And now I'm stuck at home and I kind of have to like find ways to deal with it, which for the most part isn't easy. And like I've had to struggle with that. But like recently things have been like okay in my family. So it's pretty good. And I've learned to appreciate things a lot more. Like appreciate the opportunities we have and the fact that we have a lot and that we don't really appreciate it until like we don't have it anymore, until we're not allowed to do stuff. We start appreciating how good we actually had it. And I think that's something I really learned to do.
I guess I'm like on the fence about everything because my life hasn't changed drastically, as everyone has said, because my dad works at home and my stepmom just recently got a job. So when her job got closed, it didn't really affect me as much. But one thing that has like happened more often is that I've had more time to spend with my little brothers because I don't have much to do now because I'm not stuck at school for 6 hours. I don't have after school stuff. So I guess I built a better relationship with them over this time, which has actually helped my mental health because I have someone to play with when I'm bored.
Yeah, and as previously said, you learn to appreciate things more. I definitely, before this quarantine, I've never really appreciated school. But because now we're stuck at home, you definitely just wish to go back and wish to, be in the classrooms and just see your teachers and your friends. So I have learned to, appreciate with what you got and like never take it for granted because you never know when it's going to be taken away.
I think that in terms of appreciation as well, I've really learned to appreciate the fact that like my family is economically stable, and I know that some families out there, like they work paycheck to paycheck and they don't have that same luxury that some of us do of, feeling the comfort and feeling sort of happy sometimes that we get to stay at home and we don't have to face the stress of like work and stuff like that. But there are businesses because of quarantine that have to go into shutdown, and those families, are concerned about how they should be putting, food on the table, for example. I think in that case, it's really unfortunate that the quarantine and coronavirus has happened to reveal this economic difference.
Furthering that, I think what we're going through right now is kind of scary because a lot of kids and a lot of parents don't have the necessary essentials to not only feed their children, but to also like provide them with something to like keep them busy, especially with online school right now. I think it's really hard for people to go back to school, get computers, and make sure that the Wi-Fi is working. And I understand the benefits of online school, but I think there's a lot of detriments with it as well.
I agree, but I feel like online schooling it's important because I know it's not as great as going to like actual school, but I don't think there's really anything better that we could do because we have to learn. I don't think we'd want to repeat the same grade over again. But on the bright side, Mother Nature is thriving. There's like less pollution now, and I've seen like articles about how the oceans are getting like bluer with less waste. So that's a really good thing.
I definitely see all of the positives to how COVID-19 has changed the way we live in our lives and how our lives are changing in terms of nature and the world around us. The pandemic is definitely something that we all need to be aware of and be proactive about. And it's something that we definitely should be considered about. Quarantining has many different pros and cons in terms of how we act, but it is also important to note that this social distancing technique has helped significantly with flattening the curve. And like it was mentioned previously, it is our ultimate goal to make sure that we get rid of the virus and go back to how our lives were before in a normal standard. I want to switch our conversation focus a little bit to a different light. We all know that COVID-19 has put us in different places and stances in how we act emotionally. For some people, many were annoyed and sad in terms of how COVID-19 has ended their ability to contact people and be socially active. For others, it has definitely been an experience in which they did not see coming. For example, seniors in high school and eighth graders who are culminating weren't able to get the full experience of their last years in their high school or middle school years, which were a bit annoying to them. These feelings bring out emotional senses inside of us that cause us to act very stressed out and in a very annoyed point of view. For me personally, staying at home all the time and not being able to see my friends in person has put a lot of stress on me, and it has caused me to believe that I am not doing socially well. But I want to bring this up to a discussion. So let's see what Alyssa has to say about this.
I definitely agree that being at home a lot gets you more into your thoughts, and sometimes your thoughts aren't always that positive. But I feel that during this time, in terms of communication, because we're staying at home and we're not able to, be able to communicate with our friends, we've learned more about new technology and new websites in order to connect with them, and such as Skype or Discord. And with these, us as youth, as high school students, we're able to connect more with our friends, able to FaceTime. And I know Zoom for a lot of schools is being used to host like classes. I see it having a positive effect on people such as my sister when her and her friends are able to communicate with each other and be able to share screen of the like. So I feel that although yes, and I feel it also the heavy burden of being by yourself a lot. And I know that with me having like my siblings around, it may be positive, but sometimes I feel like I want to be by myself.
Yeah, so when our world suddenly changes because of COVID-19, we get all sorts of mixed emotions of feeling stressed and overwhelmed, frustrated or angry, worried or anxious. So many times we don't know how to feel because so much is happening. Sometimes, we wish to go back in time when everything was going fine and you can go out without wearing masks or gloves. We can all definitely say that COVID-19 has changed us, especially for teens. This time can be very dangerous in a way because you get feelings of depression and anxiety. So it's important to, state ways in which people can protect themselves and strengthen their mental health, such as staying connected to loved ones. When feeling stressed, find a way in which you can distract yourself, work out, relieve times of anxiety, and don't watch the news too much as it will only add more stress and panic, and work with others who might be feeling the same way and try to figure out ways to control all those mixed emotions. So doing all this can definitely help you and can hopefully help you figure things out.
Yeah, I really think it's important to relieve our anxieties about this pandemic. So, like, finding new hobbies and trying new things out are really important right now. Like, for example, I've started to, like, paint and knit and, like, take up interests that I've never thought of before. And it has helped me, like, not distract myself, but, like, help relieve my sense of anxiety toward the state of my loved one's health and all that. So I think it is important to, like, find new things to try out and interests to pursue.
I definitely agree on the hobbies that we've all picked up. During this quarantine for me, well, before quarantine started, I got into painting, and I haven't had time to really do it like as I wanted to because of school and all that stuff. But now that we have all this free time, I've started to paint and really hone my skills in painting. I've also tried to start baking, but that didn't turn out well, so I just kind of left that to the side and focus on my painting because it helps relieve my stress and helps me escape whatever I'm feeling right now because I'm able to express those emotions through the paint.
Yeah, me too. Like my mom and I, we've started making a bunch of food together. So like when the weekend comes, we'll make a bunch of food and then we'll try it. And like every time, if it's good, that's great. If it's bad, we'll try again. And then like me alone, I used to dance, so like I've danced a lot more now because I'm just like bored, or if I'm stressed, it really helps me.
Yeah, as for me, I'm trying to learn a new language. It's very fun and interesting just because it's just really cool just learning a new language, and it just has taken a lot of my time and just really relieved me from everything that's happening. So, during this time, I think that it's important to do new things, try new things, why not?
I totally agree, and I feel it's very interesting that everyone's picking up these hobbies. Like for me, I was trying to video editing because for this week, especially with final projects, I have to make and create different projects for not only this, but like a summer activity type that I'm gonna do. So I was looking more into different ways to edit videos and how to make them more interesting. To feel that I'll invest my time in that and try new hobbies, like you said. I want to get into cooking, but I'm not sure where to start. So I'll be looking into more ingredients on that, I guess, later.
Yeah, I've also like taken up some hobbies like cooking and baking, and like it's really fun and like a nice way to like just like spend my time. But this kind of was overlooked when Nathan first mentioned it. I just feel that in quarantine, I like started like regretting a lot of things. Like now, considering that we might not return back to school, like I just regret not like always staying at home, doing homework, like always not hanging out to do homework or projects or like extra academic stuff. And like I don't know, now knowing that like I might not have a prom or homecoming or be able to go to like all these events is really scaring me and making me sad because I had saved everything for like senior year to be like the best year of my life. But now knowing that like it might not happen is like really terrifying me, and like it's really making me sad. So.
I totally agree with that. I think throughout these like 3 years, I've kind of just dedicated myself to studying, and I haven't really like hung out with my like friends a lot, like excessively, and I haven't gone to any of the dances. I was like, oh, let's save it till 12th grade so that it'll be like unique and fun. But I think it just kind of ruined like the dynamic of everything because now I don't even know if we're gonna have a 12th grade. And honestly, like I really miss my friends. Like I don't like just being at home seeing like the same three people over and over again.
Yeah, that really reminds us that we should kind of like live in the moment rather than thinking, oh, like we'll study hard and we won't like take any breaks and we won't enjoy our life as teens so that we can, wait for the day that when we do achieve everything in, I guess, 12th grade, for example, when we finish high school, we can enjoy I guess that one year that we have, but we never know what comes in the future. So even now, I feel like with coronavirus, there are many ways that I see you guys are being very productive, that we can, I guess, channel our emotions and channel our energy into, talking about different events that are happening in society like we are now and sort of express our ideas and develop ourselves as people who are going to be out there in the world, people who are going to be adults very soon, and just, understand ourselves more in terms of identity.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Looking back, I realized that I didn't go out as much and hang out with my friends, and I'm regretting that because if you really think about it, we're almost becoming adults and our teen lives are gonna go away, and just knowing the fact that we might not have a prom or winter formal is kind of sad because those were going to be our last memories of high school, especially grand night, and just the fact that we might not have it is just very sad and just brings your mood down because like we were waiting for that. We survived all high school, and we were waiting for that moment. And I was waiting to get an yearbook because I've been at my school for 9 years and I've never gotten a yearbook because I was waiting for senior year. So it's just really sad knowing that, we might not have anything at all. And it just makes you realize that we have to appreciate the things we have when we have it.
Yeah, to add on to that, like for me too, like I didn't really appreciate the opportunities we had, or like the activities we were allowed to be a part of, like homecoming and like winter formals. I was like, nah, next year, like I'll do it next year, like I'll go next year. And then like I always say, like, senior year I'll do it because like it's our last year. And now I'm thinking about like this is our last year before we're like adults and we won't have much time like with our actual friends to do stuff. And now I'm thinking like we're probably not even gonna be allowed to do most of it. Like it's not gonna be the same. Like being able to volunteer and like do fundraiser and stuff like that. It's like now I regret not participating and not doing it. And I was like, now I want to do it. And I don't even think we're gonna be allowed to do it. And it's like it's kind of sad. And it's like it lets you off with a bunch of regrets and like I should have paid more attention or I should have taken more advantage and I should have like gone for it. But like now it's like who knows.
Definitely, we come to realize that COVID-19 has put these situations we're in. We feel regretful that we've left all of these things to our last year or our last moments in which now we have that fear in which it's not going to happen at all. But we also come to realize that COVID-19 has allowed us to find our hobbies or seek new hobbies. COVID-19 has definitely put us in that frenzy, and we feel these arrays of emotions, these odd feelings that we sense in us. But it's also important, if not the most important, to realize that even in times like this, we need to be socially and emotionally well. What I like to do is watch movies and contact my close friends to make sure that in times like this, when I'm socially and emotionally distant and I feel that I'm not in the right place, I do things that put my mind aside and help me realize that I first need to be happy in how I feel. So I want to see how other people are utilizing this time to be socially well and emotionally well despite these unusual circumstances.
Well, for me, I feel like I'm personally like a socially awkward person. So it's easier for me to like talk to people in person rather than over the phone, which is what I've had to be like getting used to during quarantine since we can't like personally see each other anymore. So I think my like communication skills have been improving. I'm now able to hold like good conversations over the phone or like FaceTime, which I was not really used to before because I preferred like face-to-face interactions. But now that I'm able to call from a distance and stuff, I feel like my social wellness is improving.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I personally feel like me and my friends are way much better in person because we were able to like yell at each other and like make fun of each other. And now that we're just at home, the energy is clearly not the same. And we kind of just like fell off the earth, if that makes any sense. Like we all just like went into our little holes. And I mean, yeah, once in a while we do check up with each other. And I had to spend my birthday in quarantine, so it kind of sucked. But in the end, I know they're still there, but it just kind of sucks that I'm not able to see them when I want to.
I totally agree. And I feel like for me, in order to fill, I guess, the void of being able to communicate and talk with each other, I was able to go into like online forums and be able to talk to other people that have similar hobbies than I do. And when I'm able to talk to them, and they're from like different time zones and everything, so I feel like I have a greater connection with those who are different from me and be able to see their point of view. And also, I feel like being able to talk to friends more is also like great. And interestingly enough, I feel like I've been having to write more emails to my teachers. So I guess my writing and my formalities when I'm writing with my teachers have improved. So I find that interesting and kind of funny.
So while Katie has mentioned that she kind of struggles with like online conversations and like voice conversations as opposed to one-on-one real life, I guess situations and stuff like that, I think that it's quite the contrary for me. Like it's complete 180 because quarantine, I was able to talk a lot more with my friends through like voice channels such as Discord and stuff like that. And so in Discord, we would, communicate, we would play games together that we usually wouldn't have the time for because of school, and everyone's, seeing each other 7 hours in a day, and they just kind of want to break from all the socialization, whether it just be from listening to the teacher. And so I think that because of the emotions we also mentioned before, people become more aware of those emotions. We've also had moments where we're sort of like crying and talking about, like everything about how we feel and how it draws us closer in a way because we understand perspectives and we get to see how our friends actually feel without all the necessary pressure of having to be in the conversation like 100%. You can sort of be in the voice chat and listen to everyone and formulate your own thoughts. I think which wasn't possible with just face-to-face conversations.
Yeah, I think I've truly become a little bit more closer with a lot of my friends. I think this time has given me like the opportunity to reach out to my friends who I haven't seen in a really long time. And I think it's brought me closer to the people who have moved away and stuff like that. It's just given me more time to interact with my friends. And I think it's brought us closer than ever. And I think that's one of the reasons why I miss everyone so much. So I think that's one of the things with quarantine as well.
Yeah, I want to say that for me, that's kind of also been the case for some of my friends. Like we have like a friend group, and now like we don't talk as often, but every now and then we'll talk, and I feel like we've gotten a lot closer too because we talk. Sometimes we talk with some people. We've talked a lot more than we did like in person, but then there's other people like, for example, my best friend. Like we talked all the time, and we had like our own little adventures where we'd go out and we'd always have fun and always be something new. And now it's like we can't really do that, and now we're kind of just like stuck at home, and like we still talk like every day. And like when we go on a few hours while talking, it always feels like I haven't talked to her in forever, and then I realize I talked to her like a day earlier or something. But it's always like I can tell like the difference like when we don't talk for a while, and it's I don't know, it's kind of harder to talk because it's different. It's not the same. And then we're always like, bro, I wish we could do this. Like, oh, we should do that. Like, we kind of like plan things that we want to do. And it always seems like we're not really going to be able to get to do them. So, yeah, that's kind of thing.
Yeah. So as Anna said, that we would have like our little adventures. Like we would always go out to eat during our sixth period because that was like our free period. So knowing the fact that we don't have it anymore is just kind of sad and just kind of like depressing just because when we would go out it would always be like so fun. Like we would always like talk and talk and talk, and like the conversation would never end. And like I realize that now, since like we aren't able to see each other and we talk through the phone or like through text messages, it's like much more different because in a way you don't know what to talk about anymore. It's just completely different, and it makes you wish that you were in that time again. And then I realized that like now when we do talk, we aren't able to connect that much just because in a way I guess you don't focus as much just because you have your phone in front of you and you have social media and all that. One in person, it was just you and your friend. It was like face to face, so you would focus more. And I don't know, it just like makes me like sad that we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just a few days ago, I was FaceTiming my friend, and we've been like really close for a long time. So no matter how long it is till we talk, we'll always get back to that way that we always are. So we're always like joking around and stuff. But this time it was kind of awkward because like we didn't really have much to talk about. We've just been stuck in quarantine, so there wasn't really anything to talk about. But then later on, as we talked more, it got better. And then just in general, when I'm at home and I have the social energy, I'm more braver. Like I'll just text people because I'm bored because I know they're not doing anything. So if they want to talk, they'll just talk.
I feel like actually like in the opposite of way of like how everyone else has been experiencing this. My friends and I had a lot of classes together when school was open. So we'd see each other like so often. Like in the first few weeks of quarantine, it really hit hard that like they're not there anymore. But like the way I overcame this was literally after anything that happened at home, I would like automatically just text them, like whatever it be, like if I eat like lunch or something or like the littlest thing, I would just go to them. And I don't know, it was like nothing ever happened. So like we would just always talk, and we became a lot closer actually because of quarantine, because we started spilling like our deepest and darkest secrets, knowing that like we wouldn't have to be embarrassed because we wouldn't see the person like right the next day. So we actually became like so much closer, and like we appreciate each other so much. Like almost every day we're like, oh my god, I miss you so much, like I wish we could do this together, I wish we could do that. But like at the same time we call so often, and it's like nothing ever changed, and I just really like that.
Overall, we've seen that in our lives, we have many different obstacles we faced in COVID-19. We've seen different hobbies we were able to pursue, and we've definitely seen a lot of different emotions due to the positive and negative nature that COVID-19 has put us in. Ultimately, I want to make sure that during this time, we all feel emotionally and mentally stable and well. COVID-19 has definitely tested how we act during these times, but it's important to know that our strength needs to come from within, and that we need to find the things that allow us to be happy and strong. We hope that our listeners are able to get through this difficult time by continuing to be safe, socially distant, and also finding things to do during quarantine that might not impact their social life in any way or form. There's always a way to substitute these negative things that come from COVID-19, and we have to fight as much as we can. Ultimately, we want to flatten the curve and get rid of COVID-19 in our lives. You can see more information about our team at www.thehavencommunity.net. You can email us at contact@thehavencommunity.net. Thank you for listening to this first episode of The Haven Community Inside the Teenage Mind, where we talked about COVID-19. In our next episode, we'll be discussing the Black Lives Matter movement and how the George Floyd incident has caused us to realize that the Black oppression must be stopped.